Okay, what's happening, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to another edition of the Late Night Garage with Nick, and we are going to continue through our Voron Switchwire build 1 of 2, and things have been going pretty good. I'm really happy with how our progress has turned out. Last night we went ahead and got the gantry system all set up, and then prior to actually going live tonight, I did work a little bit of tension on the belt system, and so the belt system is good. We've got full articulation across all of these. Just probably bring it into camera pane. I am rotating my camera a little bit. I need to adjust some of the settings on here just to play around with it, just to see if I can get like it set better for my top down. This guy over here. There we go. Now we can kind of see it a little bit better. And we got full articulation. We have no rubbing against any of the plastics. We've got full range of motion. The belts, for time being, look to be good. Don't worry about a little bit of wobbliness. That's just the feet, because the feet haven't been installed yet. We're going to finish the build out. And so tonight we're going to be working on building out the, wait for it, stealth burner. And so yeah, the stealth burner is going to go on here in the very near future. It's going to look a little bit like that. It's going to be super sweet. Really happy and really excited with how the parts and everything have turned out. But we're going to go through the entire stealth burner build hopefully tonight, but it's probably going to bleed over like more like 2 nights instead of a single night. So again, we've got our instructions up, and so where we left off was, kick it over here, all the way down through the full build, yada yada yada, the panels, got the motors, got the gantry. All right, now the stealth burner. And so for the stealth burner, when it pops up for the stealth burner, it does state that, hey, we're going to be going over to the Voron side of the house. And so the Voron side of the house, we're going to pull up the other instructions, and that's going to be the actual like stealth burner build from okay. Within a matter of minutes, we lost one of our cameras. I really got to pull one of the network adapters, or one of the network Wi-Fi mesh network adapters down here, and hopefully that'll kind of solve a little bit of the issue. I'll take that camera up a little bit. And so yeah, really happy with the progress on the build so far. As you can see, we have full range of articulation motion. Motors are working good. Or at least I haven't tested the motors, but I hope they're going to work good. All the belt padding is set, and all the frame and everything's been tightened down. So yeah, really excited so far. So tonight, really, it's going to be getting into that stealth burner build. We do have some of the heat sets already done per the instructions, but we're going to get back into the heat sets to make sure that they are all set per the Voron guidelines of what needs to be recessed versus what needs to be flush versus what needs to be there for the build. And so we already have a majority of them already done. So we're going to pull the heatsink press back out, and we're going to get into building the actual stealth burner print head for our conversion kit for 1 of 2. But yeah, neither here nor there. I will have to pause a couple times to go into the house and take care of a couple things, but we'll put it up as the Be Right Back logo. So we tested that out last night, and it seemed to work pretty good with our, ChatGPT enabled imaging that we picked up and ran with. And still, I'm constantly looking back to check the feed to make sure the feed hasn't failed. Because that has been a network issue with the GoPro Hero 11s that I'm running here. I also did adjust my kind of top-down camera, and so my top-down camera, I did pan it. I'm kind of gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna adjust the angle on or adjust the zoom. It's been something I've been thinking about playing around with, and I don't know if I can adjust those from a live feed perspective. Or I may just leave it just kind of at this, because I mean that seems to be pretty good. But I need to like put some markers on my workbench as to like, hey, here's where the feed work area is, because I'll pull things out of the work area and bring it back in, or I'll move things around. I had the camera rotated like a full 90 degrees, and so now I've got it leveled out. And so hopefully that'll make a little bit more sense with the feed moving forward. I'll probably need to like move some of that junk over there out of the background and whatnot. Yeah, I just got miscellaneous tools over there, but it's all part of my woodworking setup. So anyway, moving right along, we'll kind of get into the build. I've got, hold my timer real quick, about 24 minutes before I have to go inside to go check the dryer on a load of laundry, because, you know, laundry is key for the survival. But neither here nor there. Alright, so getting into the stealth burner. And so the one that we have, and there's a couple things that we're looking at when we get into it, is the Clockwork 1 versus the Clockwork 2. And I believe the kit comes with a full setup for the Clockwork 2. And so how we're going to tell is there's some specific markings that are on here. And let's see. One of them is going to be here, the ERM. And so the one that we have is the PDRG. And so I'm going to have to take a look at it. So I think that's assembled, or this is the marking that's going to go to the hot end assembly that's going to fit into the unit itself. And so, yeah, we'll figure it out a little bit. So for the heat sets, I know that I'm going to have to put in a couple more heat sets for tonight. So we're going to pull our heat set press out. I'm going to slide the Voron switch wire over to the side, get that out of the way. Our heat set press. With our handy dandy 3D printed little vise attachment that we've been using. I'm gonna drop some wood. And we're gonna plug that in. Once we have it plugged in, we're gonna kick the switch on. Got the red light on, so we're gonna start warming up. Heat set inserts. Alright, so we're going to take a look at which ones we have already installed versus which ones we do not have installed. And so if I go to my first piece, which is going to be for the Clockwork 2, I believe this is the Clockwork 2. When we look at it, we've got 1 and 2 heat sets set in. And then the third heat set, which is going to go in here, I do not have installed yet. So we're going to get that first one installed. Raise that up. heat sets. So that's going to go in there. At least I hope that goes in there. There's a filament guide. That should go there. There's that cut. Yep, that should be fine. Drop this down a little bit. Ready to come up to a little bit hotter temperature. It's not quite there yet. Before I start pushing a heat set in, I want to make sure it's nice and toasty. Alright, it should be up to temperature now. I hope. And so for this one, we're going to make sure that, you know, that heat set is pressed in and then kind of flush with that bottom section right there. So that looks good. We're going to check our other sections. So we're good with this section. For that one spot, we're going to have to actually put some in here. And so for the next one, we got this guy. We're going to do 1, 2, those are set. And then 1, 2 on the side. Even though this one doesn't say that it needs one, the other instructions said we needed to press one in there, so we went ahead and pressed one in. And then for the below surface ones, it says these ones need to be below surface, and I have both of these set so that they are actually below surface. They are recessed in there already. Move this over here actually, so I'm gotta get used to the new camera angle. So those are all set slightly recessed below surface. Okay, so we've got from the instructions 1, 2, 3. I have one pressed in here to 4. And on the back side we've got 1, 2, 3, recessed below surface. And we should, inside this little window, we should see the knurling of the heat set press right there. Right there. Alright, so that one is good. And so I guess that other one is for the optional toolhead PCB. So that one's good. So that's the optional PCB. And then the last one, which was the tricky one, was actually this guy right here. And so that one was really hard to get to because I couldn't take the heat set press directly down because the outer diameter would have melted the material here. So I had to come in at an angle and then manually push it down with a set of pliers just once it was heated up. Alright, so once those are done, we've got our generic cable chains versus our IGUS cable chain. And so we're running the IGUS setup for this one. And so we have those heat set presses already in. scroll down a little more. So our heatset inserts for our accent parts, flush with surfaces. We like heat ones for this one, so you got that one. This one is flush with the surface. And so this one says needs to be flush with surface. Okay, so that's done. And then our last one is actually not this guy, but that's a spot for a heat set press. So we'll figure out where that one goes. That might be one of the next instructions. It has a little throw lever. And so the throw lever, this one is set as well. So get all those parts aligned. Actually, I'm going to turn the camera down a little bit so we can see more of the area. All right. And it's like, I know it says like, hey, how about this color is an accent part? I'm like, accent, schmaccent right now. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to have it as gray. I mean, maybe I'll change that later on. I don't know. And so what it says, we're going to take these two units and we're going to use an M3x16 socket screw cap. So we got our parts bin over here. So this is for the, that's going to be this guy. And this guy and this guy. So I need to do a little post-processing on this one still because I got some stuff in there. All right. And so with that 45-degree ramp, that should be facing up. These should mate together in some sort of fashion. I don't know exactly how yet. I'm going to figure that out. Should be there. All right, so the alignment of it is, you know, that little notch groove, and there's that little notch groove. So those two notch grooves are going to go together. I'm going to press it down. And then we're going to go with an M3x16 socket head. So let's find an M3x16. These ones. Drop that in there. Let's take that M3x16, get that set all the way down. All right, so there, we're good, very good. All right. All right. Lubricate bearings. So I think this is actually all going to come out of our kit, and I don't know exactly where these parts of the components are. I'm going to check inside of here to see what we got. This guy over the side. So there's our hot end parts components, more hot end parts components, nozzle for radiator, etc., etc. Nothing in that. So I gotta find my parts for the extruder. Okay, never mind. It's actually in the kit. So we'll just set this and zip that back down. It's in the kit. So inside the kit, right here, you look at the BMG kit. So we have our BMG kit. What BMG stands for, I don't know. But that's all right. So we're going to take our BMG kit, and I'm actually going to put it open in the tray and move all these guys out because those are not needed. this up here now that I think about it. Or I don't know, maybe I'll take this video and move this video over here and then move this one up here. I'm gonna have to play around with it to figure out exactly how I want to have these things set. So I want to showcase more of the build volume of the build area. Alright. Anyway. So we need to get our BMG idler assembly. So we have one knurled gearing here. A second knurled gearing. We've got, I guess this is our, we have two of those. And we have, here's our idler. And it says we need to have this lubricated. And then we're going to have a rod. I don't see where the rod is though. Nope, never mind. I see where the rod's at. So our rod, so that's going to go through. And so this is the part that we need to lubricate, is this section right here for that bearing. And so I don't know if this is the appropriate grease. It's what I have available on hand. Don't really mind. We'll play around with it, see what we got. So I'm just using Pang Shang. Whether that's the right grease, we'll find out later. I'm probably going to be chastised by the War on forums for it, but hey, this is what I have at my disposal, so I'm just going to run some grease over all of those. Give it a couple spins. Find my handy dandy rag. Hope you guys are having a good night. And we had a good Cinco de Mayo. I still just reminded me to do something. Had to wish my sister a happy birthday because, it's my younger sister, and Cinco de Mayo is her birthday, and I almost forgot saying that it's 11:30 at night, and I'm a terrible brother. But hey, better late than never, I guess. Sorry, Elizabeth. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to, a lubricant film is required to ensure smooth operation and longevity. Refer to the forearm sourcing guide. Mind orientation. And so this is going to be that we have one of the knurled gearings for the extruder. And that knurled gearing is going to get placed into the part that we just assembled, and so knurled gearing is going to go into that pocket, and that actually runs really smooth by itself without the rod. And I think what will have to happen is we're going to have to, I don't want to snap it through, I'm going to have to push it through. So we're going to take that, squeeze a little Pang Shang in here on the inside. And then we're going to drop this inside, like so. And then we're going to run that rod through. And so it's important to note that this one has a grub screw on it. So this should be going to the extruder motor itself. Versus this one, this side is just going to be for the arm that's going to connect to the one with the grub screw. So that way we have a double toothed extruder. So this is going to actually, I don't know if it'll drop right in. Yeah, it won't drop in. So we're going to back that rod out, and then we're going to slide the rod through. until we get it set into place, and we should have free rolling motion and movement. Yeah, it seems to be doing pretty good. All right. Try to get that flush. So it's flush here and then flush there. All right. Make sure the eyelash symbol is shown as above. Yep. Okay. Scroll down. Okay, so the next part is a note on springs. Longer, shorter, stiffer springs will change the tension and characteristics, have an impact. Consider buying original bond tack. It's sourced from a different vendor. Check if it's roughly 12 millimeter long with an outer diameter of 6 and a wire thickness of 1. So here's our spring. So we're going to grab a set of calipers. And so we're going to check that this is in compliance with what they have for the instructions. So 12 mil long with an outer diameter of 6. And so without putting pressure on it, we're at 12 mil. Yeah, 12. We'll call it 12. And then we need to check the outer diameter. So we're going to check the outer diameter. And so we're looking at an outer diameter, and it's round, so it's hard to get onto the calipers, of roughly 6. And positioning is not the greatest. With a coil of 1. And so yeah, the per the Voron webpage, this spring is exactly what they are looking for. 12 high, 6 wide, with a 1 mil coil diameter. And so for this, I don't see the instructions, but that looks like it's going to be a washer for a M3. Let's check. Gauge. So M3. So yeah, we need an M3 washer that's going to go onto this knurled gear. So nut, silicone gasket, M3, 2 pieces. I don't think I removed those from the bag. Yeah, they're right here. Okay. So we got 2 of them. So I grab one of those out. Refresh your camera. Alright, so from the kit, we're looking at one of these M3 washers, because we just checked the M3, so just because I don't know when the video feed cut out. So we got our M3, and so we know that's an M3. I've got 2 M3 washers in the kit, so we're going to pull one of those out. So I didn't see a washer come with the DMG assembly, but we're going to run with it. And we can even check on the calipers to see if the outer diameter of this is approximately. And based off the image, it looks like, yeah, that should be fine. So take that, we're going to set the spring on first. And then spring to the washer. And then we're going to go through the side over here. So that's going to be going through here. So that washer, yep, that fits in just fine. And then that's going to thread into this guy. And so there's a notch. Pointer. So we have that little notch right there. So that notch with the thread is going to correlate with that notch right there. And so as I look at it, it's gonna thread on, and then we're gonna thread that in till it bites, and then cinch it down. My timer's done. All right, so there we go. So now we have our assembled piece. 1, 2, 3 is at the appropriate angle. My watch is going buzz, buzz, buzz. And so we will be right back. Let's get over to our be right back logo. Okay, so I'm running back and forth inside the house and then back out because it's like I got my wife some new sheets for our master bedroom, and I ordered the wrong set, and so I had to return those and get the correct set, and we just got them in, and so they're in the dryer right now, getting ready to get put on the bed here in a little bit, and so I want to make sure that those are set and ready to go. So yeah, neither here nor there. Where we left off was we assembled this gearing, and so I'm going to pop back out of here in about 15 minutes or less, and then go up and check the dryer. So that one is good. So we're going to scroll down. Okay, so the motor plate. So we have the NR85 bearing. Check bearing fit. And so the bearing is already pre-installed on here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab the motor plate. And so the motor plate, with the motor plate facing in this direction, we're going to check to make sure that motor bearing is going to fit in there, and it fits just fine. I don't want to press it in too much because I don't know if I'm supposed to install it right now. But as we can see, that motor bearing did press in just fine. Okay, so I need to find that one's fine. Bearing fit, fully seat the bearing into the plastic pocket. Apply even pressure to insert them. Avoid pressing the inner ring of the bearing. If the fit is too tight, printed parts are likely over extruded. It literally just pressed right in with like very little issue. Okay, so here's our other bearing. So we're going to go ahead and press that one all the way in. I hope that's right side. Make sure that's set, and we still have good motion. I think that's pressed in all the way. I have no clue whether that is pressed in all the way or not. But we'll figure that out as we go. So now we're going to go the MR85 bearing fit, and so we're going to go to the other part of the extruder, which is going to be this section. And we're going to press the other bearing down into here. So we're going to grab the other bearing. And so for this, what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to match the outer edge of it up with a socket that I can just push down on. I even have a magnetic one right here. The magnetic one may not be the best choice because I want to introduce anything into that bearing. So we'll go to the next size down. That one should be fine. That's going to fit in there. I'm going to go to the next size down, just to be safe. Yeah, that'll be fine. And so that's going to drop into here. So grab that, set that down in, and so I'm just using I'm going to take this guy, and we're just going to slowly press that in, and it's set in there like butter. So now we have our bearing installed. So once our bearing's installed, then we're going to go to a M3x6 flathead screw cap. So we got our M3x6 flathead. Grab one of those out. Change this over. And it shows that we're going to leave it slightly exposed. And it says we're going to add a little bit of thread locker to this. And we have our Loctite out. Just a dab of Loctite. And we're going to screw that down until it bottoms out. Good. Except it does show that it's slightly exposed, so I don't know if we need to leave that slightly exposed or not. We'll back it off a little bit for right now. So we got that one capped in there and we got the bearing in. I need to figure out a setting to auto refresh the cameras like every 30 seconds or something. I don't know, because I keep losing a little bit of feed. And I think that's just due to network issues that I have here. Because I don't have one of my Google Nest hubs down here in the garage. Alright, moving down. Note on the gears. Drive, gear, make sure that the screw is set. With thread locker, so the initial position. I'm curious to see why they have this set for initial position with thread locker. Final position of the drive gear. Common thread lockers have enough working time to complete the steps without issue. Familiar with the step 3 page on the next 3 pages before you apply thread locker. Okay, so we're not going to apply thread locker right now. So we're going to grab our gear that's already been set into the bearing. And we're going to grab our other knurled gear with the worm gear installed on it. And you can see the worm gear is right there. Or the grub screw, I mean. The grub screw is right there. And so we're going to back that grub screw out. With that grub screw pulled, that is a tiny grub screw. Look at the size of that grub screw. I think it's tiny. Very tiny. So with the grub screw pulled out, I'm going to grab our threaded section, and so I want that notched section of the drive axle. I'm going to line that up with where the grub screw is going to go in. And so I want the teethed section facing towards the gear. That is a tight fit, very tight machining on this one. I'm going to line it up with where that flat is, and you can see the flat because of that shine and sheen that goes in there like a little mirror. And then we're going to take the grub screw, we're going to put the grub screw and reseat the grub screw for right now so I do not lose this thing. So we reseat the grub screw, get that locked in. And there we have our drive gearing with the grub screw. All right. And so it says that I want to have this set from the base of the gearing to the center of the knurling at 15.6 mil for the initial go. So I'm going to set my thing to 15.6. 50.9. I wish I had a better set of calipers here so I could lock it at 15.6, but this is the one that I have, so 15.6. Without disturbing the lay of the item. And so yeah, it needs to come down quite a bit because I want it in the center of that knurling. So we're going to loosen the grub screw and we're going to shake this thing down a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to go back, we're going to check. 15.6. And that looks pretty close to center of the knurling. Maybe just a skosh more. Yeah, it's going to have to come down a skosh more. Too much. Back that off ever so slightly. Recheck. Recheck. And so that looks good. That looks like it's pretty much center at 15.6 for the initial set. So now we're going to take that grub screw, lock that grub screw back down. Now that it's locked, we're going to go back to our calipers. And that looks good. So we have it set to 15.6 with a good approximate 15.6. All right. From here, we're going to attach our two ends together. I think I might be missing a couple of heat sets, or maybe they're just not set yet. Alright, so we got our no thread locker yet. We're going to take our two pieces of the extruder. And these are going to go together. So they have the notch groove right here, which is going to fit into that notch groove. The axle for the extruder gearing is going to go through the bearing on the opposite side. And we should be able to press these together by hand. Doesn't necessarily want to press. And it's there, oh, there we go. Well, that snapped together pretty easily. Okay. And so this is where it's saying I think we're going to look at checking the alignment. So if I look at my extruder pathway is not matching up exactly with that knurling. And so, or my filament pathway. So my filament pathway with the knurling is right there. And so it looks like we're going to have to loosen the grub screw up. As soon as I get to the spot for the grub screw, it's right there. And we're going to shift the knurled gearing towards the bottom end of the carriage in order to get it to line up with the pathway. So a little bit more light in there. So there's our filament path, and we can see that our knurled section is not in line with that filament pathway. But we're going to pause. I'll be right back. I'm going to go check the sheets. we are back. So, sorry about that. Like I said earlier, it's like I picked my wife up some brand new sheets for her birthday, and they're from a company called Quince, and they're really nice, really soft sheets, but I ordered the wrong ones, and so I had to return them, get the correct sheets, and then once I got the correct sheets in, then I was like going through and getting them all washed, getting them set, taking the old sheets off, getting the new sheets on, coming downstairs, carrying my wife to bed, getting her into bed, going downstairs, getting one of the dogs, putting the dog outside, letting the dog do its business, grab the dog, take the dog upstairs, and then now we're back. And so it took a little bit longer than, you know, anticipated, but hey, we're back. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh the frosty cold beverage. All right, here we go. All right, so we are continuing on with the switch wire stealth burner build. Okay, so we have the stealth burner gearing. We talked about, you know, getting that knurling lined up with the extruder pathway, and so we're going to adjust that here in a little bit before I get this thing entirely locked down. So main body, check. Initial alignment check. Check to make sure the filament path aligns with the tooth section of the surface of the drive gear. And so again, we're checking that filament pathway. And so I'm just going to grab a chunk of spare filament over here. Okay, once we have that chunk of filament, I know that I'm going to need to adjust it, without a doubt. And so the bearing's locked into place, and not much I can do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the gearing so I can get that knurling facing upward. And we're going to loosen up that knurling. Except I got to hold on the gearing so it doesn't spin or rotate. I'm going to take the section out, and what I'm going to do for the alignment is I'm going to leave that grub screw still on the cap. Is I'm going to take the filament and push it down the filament pathway, and I'm going to use the filament to line up that knurling. And so I'm just going to take a pointed edge right here, and I'm going to check for the alignment. And so I'm making sure that knurling is basically completely in line with the filament pathway. And that right there looks pretty darn good. So I'm going to take some more filament. And filament looks like its travel is going to be good. So now we're going to match back up where the grub screw is at. Right there. I'm going to hold the wheel. And take the grub screw. Come on. Now I'm going to feed the grub screw back in. I'm going to lock that down. Should have good motion. Looks like I may have pulled slightly out of alignment, and I'm going to tighten that grub screw down. No, we're good. I think it was just the pressure on the plate. So again, take a look at that knurling in alignment with the filament pathway. So what I might do now is, I'm pretty confident with that one. I'm going to go ahead and just pull that grub screw out. I'm just going to Loctite it into place. And maybe this is a mistake, maybe it's not, I don't know. But here we are. Oh lordy. Gotta clean this off now. Anyway. Alright. Try to get in here with a rag. Rotate that gear back and forth, get any of that excess Loctite off. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to take a M3x25. M3x25. Let's go two M3x25s. That's going to be through this one. And it's going to be through this one. I'm going to walk the assembly. And it says, be careful not to over tighten. Okay, so those are taut, but not over tightened. Check my filament pathway, still looks good. All right. Moving right along. Okay. Next event. Yep, we've done that. We've kind of checked the filament alignment. It says to do it, so we're going to go ahead and do it. And I should see that it's going to fall through and then flow through completely, and we have no issues. And it's even that first little bit of the leading edge is biting onto the filament. And you can see that gear moving. So we're good. Take this filament, set it off to the side for right now. We'll come back to it here in a little bit, I'm sure. Check your clearance. Drive shaft must not touch the motor housing. Make sure it does not sit above the surface of the printed part. If the shaft has sufficient clearance, so check the shaft and ensure sufficient clearance. And so I think the clearance that it's talking about is here and here, that it's not poking up beyond this, and that we have free movement on the wheel the entire time, and everything looks good here. So now we're going to drop in the locking mechanism for the second set of knurling. Do not tighten. Tensioning arm must move freely. Tighten and the bolt may lock it into place. Okay, so we're going to take that tensioning arm, which is this guy, even though I do not have the fancy dancy like accent color on here. And so this is going to feed through. Let's see how this is going to go. Which way does it feed? Hold on. Let me get the orientation. So filament pathway up, like that. This is going to drop into here. Like so. So now we should have the knurling, and so we can see the window right there. Once we get it set in place, we should have the knurling coming into contact. So I should have the center line of the main axle, and then we should have center line of the second axle in parallel with each other. And then we're going to take another M3x25 and drop that M3x25 through here. It should feed straight through until it hits that other section. And so it's not sitting always a good time when you lose both cameras. So anyway, we grabbed our spare part, our part for the locking arm. We tested the gearing. Everything seems to be working just fine. So now we're going to take this arm. This arm is going to go in an orientation as such, and it's going to lock over the top. And so from here, I should be able to line that hole with the inner hole, which is going to correlate with one of the inset heat sets that we did during one of the other previous days. So I'm going to line this up. Right there, and so that's going to be another M3 by 25. So we've got another M3 by 25. Let's feed that through. I'm going to lock this one down, but not over tighten. Alright, so that one is in fine. You can see we have that tension, and I should be able to throw it over that locking bar. So I should be able to pop that up, rotate that out if I have stuck filament, push that back in, lock it into place. Check the alignment. I could have done a little bit better post-processing. Pull off that stringing. And then we're going to set that down. Okay, on to the next. Tension mechanism. Anti-squish. The anti-squish thingamajig. Softer, flexible materials would deform, and so that's the one that I was talking about earlier, where we had that flathead screw cap that went inside the unit. Softer, flexible would deform and extrude poorly under too much tension. Clockwise to added adjustment feature to set the minimum distance between the drive gear and the idler, and separate gears from meshing too tightly and binding up the extruder. Okay, so I don't know that I necessarily need to adjust that right now. I think I'll be fine for PLA that we're going to be pushing through this thing anyway. So now we're going to go through our pancake stepper motor, so our NEMA 14 stepper motor. And so we're going to look at our pull out of the box. Where are the holders over here? So we have our Sabur branded stepper motor with the tooth gearing already pressed on. And so from the part where we have the Voron designs, let's see, that is going to be going on the opposite side of where the filament path is to line up with the gearing that we have established here. Oh, that gearing is now really tight. I need to back that off some. I'm just going to click, click, click. I don't know if that's normal or not. Free spin. Free spin. No free spin. Click, 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 click. Pick this up. Some more. Free spin. That feels a little clunky to me, but I don't know. Just that. More, a little more off. There we go. That's free spinning. So I want to make sure that the gearing's engaged, but not going clunk, clunk, clunk. Because it was, I think I had it too tight. Because it's going clunk, 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 clunk. I think I may need to actually go through and adjust that minimum space that they were talking about earlier. Let's see, that was a M3 by 6. Let's make sure I got the appropriate bit out. M3 by 6. Hopefully this is not too long where I can't get it, so I'm going to feed that in there, lock that in. And I don't remember, did I Loctite that down? I think I Loctited that down. Oh, that's too bad. It said to Loctite it, so I Loctited it, which may have been a mistake. So I just backed it out a little bit. I think that may have been where I was introducing the air in the spinning of it. So I'm going to grab that filament again. Run that filament through because I want to make sure that I'm getting engagement on both extruder gears. So that side's good. And that side's good, but man, that's pretty tight for the tolerances, so I may need to back that out some more. Maybe I just need to release a little bit of tension on here. And so I don't know exactly what that gap's going to be, but that gap that I'm talking about is right here. And inside there is that M3x6 flathead, and that's just putting a gap spacer between the tensioning arm for the drive and the extruder gearing. But we're not getting any more of the clunk, clunk, clunk anymore. So I think I just had that gap too shallow. And so we've extended it out and we're actually getting good pathing. And it is really gripping the filament. We'll probably adjust that here as we get further into the build. All right, moving along. So we got our pancake motor. So our pancake motor, opposite side of where the Voron Designs logo is. We're going to rotate that over. And our pancake motor, it doesn't state the orientation for the wiring, but it does show that let's see, it's going to go here. Hold on, I gotta find out where this is going to get set. Because it doesn't correlate with any of the holes. Correlates with that hole, but not another hole. Or does it actually go? Yeah, so it goes on this plate. It's going to go into that gearing. But what hole does it correlate with? Because that's already got a screw set into it. So I'm going to put a M3x30. M3x30. And oh man, it was short M3x30s, I want to say. M3x20, M3x30, M3x6, because I used my spare M3x30s for another section of the build, which was locking the carriages down, and I don't know that I have another M3x30 to use for this. Well, if that's not a pickle, I don't know what is. Which means I need to go digging around for an M3x30 to see if I have an M3x30 somewhere. And so that's going to be an M3x30 socket head screw cap. I'll pull my spare parts bag out. Yeah, that's not fun. M3x50s. Wait, hold on. Stop the presses. M3x25s. everywhere. Let's see. M3 by 30. So it's an M3 by 20. Turn this off before I burn myself. Okay. I do have the other full kit that I could pop open and pull an M3 by 30 out of, just in case. So we do have a backup, so we don't have to like stop the build for the night. When I was looking around on the ground, I did not see a spare M3 by 30 anywhere, or one that I had dropped. Which is interesting because it's like, so it says M3 by 30, 15 pieces. I know that I used 4, 8. I don't remember where else I used M3 by 30s. But after 8 pieces, I was completely drained. But it's escaping me whether or not I used them for other sections of the build or not. Oh. M3 by 30. And these organizers are good, but they are very loose, and so I'm hoping that maybe it shifted underneath one of the plastic pieces into another bin, but it would be really noticeable because, I mean, an M3 by 30 would be rather long by comparison to anything else that I have in these bins. Let's see, let me put this over here. Maybe it got mixed into our end of 3 spare parts when we did the tear down. video. So looking for an M3 by 30. And so I got, let's see here. I think the other M3 3x30s were actually used for also mounting down the motors. But hold on, let me see what we can come up with. So this could be an M3 by, this is a flathead, but it's M3 by 38. That's not going to work. Fiddlesticks. I should have jotted down some notes as to where I use those other M3 by 30s. And I have to go back and look through the videos just to see if I did capture it through audio, because I would have. Alright, so I guess I'm going to open up the other box and pull the other kit out and see if I can finagle some other parts out of it. Woe is me. Woe is me. Maybe, oh maybe I have one over here. I doubt it, but you know, it's worth taking a look at. Well, that's no fun. Set our spare parts bin off to the side. So maybe I'll pull some from the office tomorrow when I get in. Nope. Alright, bear with me a minute, I'm going to pop the other box open. So this is the box for build number 2. I'm going to pop this guy open, grab the kit out of it. Yay, unboxing video number 2. Not really. Alright. Grab the other parts kit out. I'm just going to set this off to the side. Okay. I got a couple other bins of parts laying around, but you know, I don't want to spend like the next hour digging through parts bins to figure out where they are at. So I've got my M3x30, which is right here. So I'm just going to pull one of these guys out. And so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So yes, there are 15 pieces in here. I don't know where I had to use that other one. But luckily I had that spare set just to go through and finish up the build. And maybe it is lost in here and we'll come across it later on. And I'm going to take a look. So I've got my M3x30. And we'll get right back into the build. Alright, so our M3x30 is going to be going through this section right here. And so there's the first mount for where the motor is. So that'll give you the motor orientation. And so I guess the other one is going to be this slotted section right here. It doesn't depict it on the instructions too well. There's my stabby pointy device. That's fine. And so based off the motor orientation, it's going to go through this one, and I'm assuming it's going to go through this one. That way we can adjust the tension into the motor, or into the gearing. And so, for the cable orientation is my next question. So I'm going to scroll ahead through the cable orientation to figure out where the cable orientation is supposed to go. Check gear play, bracket. How is the cable supposed to be routed? That's what I need to know, is which side does that cable need to be routed? Or maybe it doesn't matter. And it's like, I honestly don't know, but I also don't want to have it set incorrectly. Those are done, that's done, that's done. Wiring, I want wiring. Where is wiring? Oh, okay. So I'd hate to get through and then figure out, oh my gosh, I need to rotate the motor so the cable goes out the opposite side. Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. And so we're going to put that M3 back in there. I think that it would, because I think it's like the tolerances on this thing are so darn tight that you think there would be a set spot for where that cable needs to be routed to. It's not going to go on this side because this side should be where everything sits, because this has to be open for articulation. We're just going to mount it in this fashion, and if we need to adjust, we'll see where we need to adjust to. I'm going to take that I'm not going to over tighten it because we want to have that little bit of free play on there so we can get it set to the motor. That's disengaged. That's engaged. Alright. So from here, once the motor's on, we need to grab that other M3 washer. Another M3 washer. Right here. And you got M3 by 8. So we got our M3 by 8. This is M3 by 5. Take that little bit of Loctite and lost earlier. Clean that up. Grab a sip of cold frosty beverage. Throw that bag away at the same time. As you hear me narrate my say and do, super exciting stuff. I know. Not have it any other way. Okay, so the access hole. And so I've got the motor engaged in this position where it is currently at. So we're going to go find that M3 by 8. Pull the M3 by 8 out. Put that washer on. This could be a little tight. That motor's engaging. Yep, that's fine. Drop that in from the top. I don't think I'm going to be able to get my tool in there, so I need to go to a standard Allen key. So do not over tighten because we need to be able to adjust it here in a little bit. So that is loose. Slide that motor down. Now we should have the motor engaged. And it's engaged. Maybe a little too tight. Back that off just a smidge. Make sure that motor's still engaged. Motor's still engaged. Now we're going to tighten that one back down a little bit. Alright, so now we've got our stepper motor for the extruder installed. We've got the gearing, and as you can hear it, that's the motor being engaged. Zip, 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 zip. All right. Don't fully tighten yet. Set the gear meshing. Adjust the stepper motor in the position that the motor and extruder teeth fully mesh overlap with each other. Should be a very small gap between the faces of the gears. Gears must not press tightly against one another. Done. Okay. Tighten when done. Check the gear play. The gear should have slight play and should not be fully tight against the pinion. adjust the position so you have faint play. So the play I think they're talking about is that if I rotate this back and forth, I should have a little bit of a click, 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 and it's really hard to tell here, but if I grab this, you can see that there's a little bit of play, and so that's the play that they're talking about. Is I should be able to press up against the gearing of the motor, press up against the gearing of the motor, and so that ever so slight play, quote unquote, means that it's not, the gears are meshing like this instead of smashing like this, and so it's going to allow a little bit more articulation as it's going to be going through, versus if it's too tight, it's going to bind, and it's going to wear down that gear right there, because it's going to be metal on this plastic. Metal on plastic is always going to grind away. Maybe I'll change that to an aluminum later on. I don't know. Alright, so gear play check. Now set the anchor chain. So anchor chain, I'm going to grab our handy dandy bracket. So this is right here. So we have a bracket. So the bracket is going to go on the back side. And so we're going to feed that one through C. And it's going to go. Okay, so with the motor, with the feed for the PTFE up, so you go here. I'm going to go M3 by 20. So on my M3 by 20. Check these because it's the first time I've opened the bag. Because it's the first time I opened the bag, I'm always going to check. So M3 by 20. Good. So I'm going to drop that M3 by 20 in. And we're going to have it bite into right there. And so this will be for the drag link chain. And so I'm going to check the hole alignment to make sure that other hole is going to line up. We're good. All right. Next up. An M3 by 8 with no washer. Take it back over here, go to my M3 by 8. And feed that in here. Not gonna fit. Go straight Allen key. We got 1:09 in the morning, so we are not going to get the entire thing assembled tonight, is what it looks like, guys and gals. That's okay. We're making some pretty good progress. It's unfortunate about the M3 by 30. I got to pick some more up. Okay, now that that's set, I'm going to come down and open the latch. So we're going to open the latch. And we're going to feed an M3 by 16. It's my M3 by 16. So that's an M3 by 12. It's always good to check these when you have some of those things set. So M3 by 16. So we're going to open the latch up. I'm going to feed this dude all the way through so it will drop down to the channel below it. And so we have that M3x16 extended down here. Now I'm going to lock that latch back down so it stays in place for right now, because I'm sure we're going to get to that here in a little bit. Let's get the M3x16 in. With the latch still up, we're going to attach the outer bracket. Buddy, where are you? Outer strap. Did I put it down here with the others? Oh, that's right. I have them printed in green. They're green. All right. So I printed these ones in green, so that's fine. We're gonna roll with it. So this is gonna go here, and so this is just a cover more or less than anything else. And so there's no threading or heat set. It's just gonna push right in. So we're gonna go through. I can't get my tool in there, so we're just going to the straight Allen key. And it should thread on nice and easy. So it says, do not over tighten, but we're going to snug it up so we get some of that play out. I don't want it flopping around. It's a little too loose still. Okay, so that's snug. We got good articulation. I'm going to push that back in, lock that back down. There we go. Here we go, M3x6 button head cap screw. So I think that's the first time I've opened this up. So I M3x6 button heads. Yep, first time I've opened that up. Get that out of there, drop that back where it's supposed to go. M3x6, grab one of them out. $114. And we're going to set that in to where there was that heat set from previous. And so, all right. Awesome. All right, moving right along. And so again, Nick from the Late Night Garage with Nick, and we are building our stealth burner. Stealth order development update 2021, April 13th. I'm gonna regret saying this, but how hard could it be? All right. Identifying our printed parts. Hot end assembly embossed, and the printed parts, make sure they match your hot end. So we got the ERD, and I think that's going to be, these parts were printed off direct from the Subur website, so they should correlate direct with the hot end assembly we're working with that came with the kit. We also provide tool cartridge parts for the Clockwork 1 and the extruder design for Clockwork 2. So let me actually go over here and take a look at the assembly instructions from Subur. And so the assembly instructions: radiator, throat, heat block, silicone sleeve, and a nozzle. And so we're flip-flopping back and forth between two different spreadsheets, or two different sets of instructions now. And so I primarily plan on printing with PLA, but I don't know if I'm going to do ABS or ASA or polyamides. I don't know. Maybe I'll change those out later on. Maybe we'll just print an entire another set for this. Or pick up a spare hot end and print out multiple heads. I don't know. I'll kind of figure that out a little bit later on. So now we're going to go on to the high-end tooling board. Not worry about that. So we're going to go to assembling the lower for the fan shroud. Okay, so we got those heat set inserts. Those heat set inserts we already have preset. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Set this off to the side. Got these bags. Take that washer. Put that washer back in its bin. Recharge the frosty cold beverage container. Set that back down. Alright, so heat sets are done. And so we're going to go with the Revo Horn. So ours is going to be different. So we've got the V6 hot end. And so we're going to pull our V6 hot end kit out. Oh, the level of parts and stuff that I have out right now. It's shocking yet not shocking. Nope, nope, nope. Just drop the notes on the spot. This is actually not put to the gauge. This is an M5 by 20. So M5 by 20. In that bin. Okay, number next. So we've got our radiator. We've got our throats. We've got our nozzles. We got our heat core. We got our silicone sleeve. And so then we got our heat block. Actually, this is the throat. Throat, block, sleeve. And so I have assembled quite a few bamboo and disassembled quite a few bamboo hot end assemblies. I have never done one out aside from that. So I think that this one is going to be for heat break bimetal, and so that's what we have, the copper, and then we have this. And it's like, I don't know if I want to, honestly, I'm thinking like, why not just put the higher temp hot end assembly on here for the polyamides and just run nylon through it, or not nylon, but run PLA through it, because it's like, why would it matter whether I'm running the PLA, TPU, PEG, because it's like, I know I might do some ABS printing in the future, and so why would I want to just not put this guy on here unless the nozzle diameter for this one is like a 0.6 and the others is 0.4. No, it's 0.4. So if it's 0.4, we have 0.4. Yeah, I don't understand why I want to just run the bimetal one for all the material. I don't know. So many choices. And so we're going to go ahead and grab our carrying case for the nozzles, and I'm actually going to I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just keep the factory heat block, and I'm just going to rig it up for the non-PLA. I don't know. You know, we'll scratch that. We'll stick with the lower temp one, because I don't really print much ABS. The only time I really started printing ABS is when I was getting ready to do this build, and so I might as well just stick with what I am more comfortable with, because why not? PLA is easy. PLA is going to get me calibrated. PLA is going to get this thing up and running, so I'm just going to PLA my way through this. Hooray. Okay, so radiator, heat block, silicone sleeve, we got our screws, Allen key, we got a 0.4 nozzle, and so we're going to work on the assembly of it. So we're going to take the V6 and the radiator, so I'm going to take the heat block, the tolerances are really tight on this, except that should be the smaller threading is going to go through. And then this should go here. And cinch that all the way up. Press that down so it mates. So do I want that block up or down? Okay, let's see. The heat core and everything coming out. Doesn't say whether it's okay. So I'm looking at this picture right here, and it shows that right there. If you can see my mouse cursor wiggling around, that looks like it's going to be the hole. Actually, there's a hole on both sides. Now I just don't know. Or does it even matter? And so I think because it shows that the actual heat block is lower versus the thermistor is going to be upper. And so the instructions, and so what I'm looking at is it doesn't give a good depiction of what side or the orientation of the throat versus the nozzle versus where the thermistor and then the heater core are all going to go. But based off the imaging, it shows that the it shows that the heating element is oriented towards the bottom, and so if we take it towards the bottom, now I should be able to thread in the nozzle and cap that down. And then take this, thread that down until it locks into place, and so they're not up against each other. I can still move it. And we're going to take the radiator. I'm going to thread the radiator on until the radiator stops. And once that's set, I'm not going to put the silicone sock on until we get our thermistor and our heat core in. Alright, so once that's set, now we're going to go back to our kit. We're going to grab out those parts. And so I don't know that it needs actually any thermal grease. We got our LED for the LED assembly. We're going to put that back in the baggie. I don't see anything about thermal paste being mentioned. What I'm probably probably going to do is I'm going to probably grab some thermal paste. I'm going to run some thermal paste in here. So let's come over here. So this is going to be the Revo quick exchange, and maybe I'll pick up a Revo just to have the interchangeable nozzle later on. Alright, so we're going to take that over here. I'm going to grab some thermal paste. Grease. So I've got a little bit of thermal grease. I didn't see any in the kit, maybe I missed it. So this is the same thermal grease that I use for pretty much all my computers, for some of the heat sinks for the computers. And I'm going to take some of that thermal grease and thermal compound, I'm going to drop it on the thermistor. So I want the thermistor to be able to be accurately reading the temperature. So I'm going to drop the thermistor in. Which is funny because that thing is just like free floating in there. And then my heating element, I'm going to take some of that thermal paste. The thermal paste on that heating element. Add a little bit more to it. I'm going to feed that in. Once that's in, lock that down. And my thermistor fell out. So that one's locked in. And I do see that there's a spot for another one here, so it is threaded, so it is going to get locked in. But it's not in the kit that I saw. And so, what size is that going to be? It's a button head for right now. Let's see. I'm going to lock that thermistor into place. Or is there a grub screw in here? Maybe there's a grub screw in there. Hold on. If there's a grub screw in there, that makes it a lot easier. Oh, look at that. There is a grub screw in there. I'm going to take that grub screw. I'm going to lock that grub screw down. Push the thermistor all the way in. Lock the thermistor into place. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to grab our silicone sock. Check the orientation. It's going to be this way. Maybe it would have been easier to feed this without the wiring through it. So it's going to need to go here. She needs to feed through this side, so it needs to go. And it's going to go through. Now, something you guys might want to look at when you're doing your build is silicone is going to be very pliable, so we should be able to just push it through. But maybe getting the silicone sock on, you're just going to have it pulled off to get access to that grub screw. So we're going to take the silicone sock, now that we have that set, drop that over. All right. There we go. All right. Set and set. Okay, now hot end tooling board. So we're going to go back to our box. We're going to grab some stuff out of the box here in a second. I'm going to grab this entire tray actually and bring it a little bit closer. Then grab my parts tray that came out of the box. Pop this bad battery on. So this is our PCB carrier. All right, so this is going to be like completely unfamiliar, uncharted territory because I have not done this stuff since like high school, which was like over 2 decades ago. Okay, so we got board 1. We got all the adapters for it. And so this is the Stealth Burner R2 RZT2/1. Alright, so we're going to grab our tooling board, and so this should be our tooling board right here. And so this is the Geek Station, and this is going to be the Stealth Burner RZT2/2. So you have the 2/1 board and the 2/2 board. Okay. So hot end tooling board. Red, green, blue, black. Red, green, blue, black. So we're going to take, that's going to be going off the main board. So red, green, blue, black, that's going to go onto here. So pull that connector out. It's like the part that scares me the most right here. pull that off. Okay, so for this, I'm going to grab that little elbow, which is this guy, and we're going to take the nubs, and the nubs are going to be facing up. So the nubs, it's going to be through 2 M3x6. Let's say what damage and shipping. So 2 M3x6 button heads, M3 by 10, 8, 25, M3x6 flat head, M3x6 button head. We have 2 of these guys. These are for the top end of the radiator. I'm going to set these off to the side. All right. $1:37 in the morning. I don't know why I do this to myself, but here I am. All right, so we're gonna go set this on here. M3x6 and M3x6. Are these supposed to have heat sets put into them? Hold on. Are these supposed to have heat sets? Does not look like it, but that M3x6 is not biting into that plastic at all. Let's see here. Okay. Let's back up. So 5015 blower, RGB lights, our 4010 fan. Okay. Let's grab our fans. Okay. Oh, we got a lot going on here. Alright, so we got our nice lime green stealth burner cover. It's going to go in there like that, except got to file these down. So that's going to have to be filed down to fit in. Maybe I'll print out the filing jig, I don't know. I can pull out the heat set X-Acto knife and just chop it. I didn't even pull out the mini chop saw if I wanted to. Or we may just call this as a good stopping point for tonight. It is 1:41. And so these the arms to the fan are going to have to get cut down. So let me go down here and check what this says. Remove the supports. Run the wiring. And I gotta print this guy out. When I get into the office tomorrow, I'm probably gonna print that out in another color. So it goes in there, toolhead left, toolhead right. Set that in there, drop that in. LED routed wiring. Support structure built in. It's removed. Pin orientation. Fan route wiring. And so, yeah, we're going to have to do fan preparation. Clip off and file down the stock mounting ears. Oh, man. Clip off and file down. So let's clip them off. Oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. Cheers. All right. Clip off and file down. Oh, that snapped easy. Just 1, 2. Don't need those anymore. As I launch pieces of plastic all over the garage. Great. How much more do I need to take off? Quite a bit. All right, so now pieces of plastic everywhere. almost. Need to cut this side down some. As I'm breathing in more pieces of microplastic. Be careful of that cable. Can't be any worse than printing ABS plastic. So I'm pretty sure this is just ABS plastic. Almost. We're almost there. Still need a boatload to come off, but I think there's also some material that we need to remove from inside, which is a support material, and that's there. Let's see. Okay. So remove that section. There's going to be a thin piece underneath there. Underneath there. Designed to break during the fan installation. Okay. Still too much. Hold on. see here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it quits for tonight. I mean, we made some pretty good progress. Not as much progress as I probably wanted, but we're going to take a little bit more time on assembling the hot end because we still have quite a bit more to do. Maybe we'll get this done. So... yeah, we'll save all this for tomorrow. Okay. Alright, we're deep into the weeds on the build. Finished up some stuff, and then we've been working on the actual like stealth burner for most of tonight. We're gonna get into some more of the build tomorrow. This guy is gonna end up going right here. It's like pretty and shiny. So that'll go there. So that's gonna get routed up. Yeah, I have to adjust this a little bit to get those holes to line up and not have this thing all cattywampus. I want that kind of like set and vertical. So it should be that way. I'm not sure. We'll call it a good stopping point for tonight, and then we'll get into getting everything else set and established and built tomorrow. Anyway, Nick from Nick's Late Night Garage, or the Late Night Garage with Nick, depending on how you prefer it, and we are going to put a pause on it. We did get the extruder completely built, and we did some adjustments on the unit itself earlier off camera for just belt pathing and tension. And then we're going through the building of our stealth burner, and I'm getting lots of junk plastic everywhere from shaving. And tomorrow we'll pick it back up and we'll get back into the build, and we're going to continue on. And until then, I'll catch you guys later on.